Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Bituation Room here on a Tuesday, January 20th. I am your host, Francesca Fiorentini. So glad to have you here. So glad you've decided to press play. You've decided that that's not enough news for the day. You've got to have one more bit, and that is me and my lovely show and my podcast and the amazing guests that I'm about to grace you with. Walter Masterson is here, back from Minneapolis with dispatches, with thoughts. We're going to talk about, all of the hordes of virgins that are being unleashed onto the people there. And also, we're going to talk about whole milk. Okay? We're just going to talk about it. It's important. Somehow, it's important. It's about Western civilization, probably, or something. It's probably racist. We'll talk about why, and just the creepiest campaign coming out of the Department of Agriculture. And then later on, journalist Gil Duran is joining me to talk about Greenland, to talk about Venezuela and network states, to talk about all of the oligarchs that we need to be keeping our eye on. This Gil Duran is like the kind of like reporter and journalist who like actually gives me heart palpitations when I like read his stuff, because I'm like, oh god, they're taking over. And they are in fact taking over. And so what are we going to do about it? I know he has ideas and thoughts, and I think we need to get very serious about them. So if you're here, you know what to do. You are pressing play. No, of course, you've pressed play. That has how it happened. You're liking the stream. You're sharing the stream right now. And you are giving this podcast 5 stars wherever you get your podcast. Spotify, if you're still messing with that outlet, Apple Podcasts. Should I keep listing them? That's it. There's pretty much only 2. The point is support the show. And you can support the show. Again, I've said it before. We have sadly lost our CBD sponsor because of all the shenanigans playing out in the hemp industry, thanks to Mitch McConnell. But this show, that means the show is you and you driven and supported alone. Patreon.com/Bituation Room. $5 a month, $10 a month. You get with your subscription access to our AMAs that we do quarterly, 20% off of our very adorable merchandise. Bituationroom.com. You get that code. You also, if you're a patron at $10 or more, you get the shout out during the fart song and 60% off the American Prospect magazine in your hands. 60% off. It's $24 for the year of magazines. I write for it every single issue. They're excellent. So I hope you've taken advantage of that. In your welcome note, you'll have a link that sends you there. So thanks so much for supporting the show, supporting the people that come on it. And also, I'm still doing comedy. We gotta still laugh to not cry. And this Saturday, January 24th, I will be back at the Ice House for the 1-year anniversary of our show, New World Disorder, with a brand new lineup. Dave Borey is there, Amy Silverberg, Jasmine W., Nate Craig, who's been on this show before years ago. He's got to come back on. And of course, Matt Lieb. So get your tickets. It should be wherever you're listening or watching this. And just a quick shout out. Number one, as the year begins, I just want to thank all the mods that we have on YouTube, and especially Todd Roy. Shout out. Thank you for all of your work. And also, I want to take this time to say that Zane the Magic Puffer Dragon, who was originally a dragon because of the Damage Report and TYT, and then came over and was helping moderate as well. He had come out to a number of my live shows. I just got word that he sadly passed, and it's terrible. It's awful. And I just wanted to send a lot of love out to him because he showed so much love to this community and to this show and to me. And, I don't know a lot of the details, but you guys, we are online, we have parasocial relationships. But there's some people who really, have been around for a while and have supported you and supported this community. And so just very sad for him, his family. And I wanted to say, I wish I could have said goodbye, but also thank you. So Zane the Magic Puffer Dragon, I hope this one's for you and in May you rest in peace. I don't know how to do this. Sort of awkward. But anyway, it wouldn't be Habituation Room without Francesca being awkward. Yes, but also without bitching about things. So everybody put your bitch cap on. This is what you're bitching about. What are you bitching about? That's the name of the segment. Okay. As we look forward to 2028, as all the Bookers and the Buttigiegs line up behind their sort of, mealy-mouthed reforms around ICE and what they're going to do and how they're going to appeal to the American people, and basically how they sit around and wait for Republicans to, single-handedly screw themselves, which, spoiler, is not actually how you do social change. You actually have to work and be a leader. One name rises above the rest when it comes to just absolute spineless centrism, and that is Governor Gavin Newsom of California, who, of course, I will, support when it comes to stopping him being recalled in the ridiculous efforts that have happened. But I will never support him for higher office than that. In fact, in my opinion, you shouldn't be able to run for higher office if you haven't actually delivered on the promises that you campaigned on. Single-payer healthcare in California. How's that rail doing? And Gavin Newsom, I guess he took a little break when he realized the winds were changing around, fascism and ICE. Took a break from his podcast because he also podcasts. He stopped interviewing people like Steve Bannon and whatnot. And now he's back. Now he's back to interviewing people like Ben Shapiro, because we've got to know, I don't think you know about, Ben Shapiro doesn't have a big enough platform. So we've got to give some space to Ben Shapiro. And we've got to not only give him space, we have to let Ben Shapiro run circles around us, specifically when it comes to the genocide in Gaza, which, by the way, is still happening. Okay? I just want to remind people, January 20th, 2026, children are freezing to death in Gaza. The winter storms are not survivable in tents. Israel has blocked aid like mobile homes, anything to prevent people from the elements. They today are bulldozing UNRWA, so the main aid agency, to get any food or medicine or supplies into Gaza, right? So the genocide does not stop. It hasn't stopped. But here they are discussing how it happened, how it definitely did not happen in the past.
To this conversation, some drag, some run with, flags wave.
Okay, I don't know why I can't hear that because it just stopped on me. Let me play it again. Sorry. Okay, that is not working for me. Oh my God.
Dragged into this conversation, some drag, some run with, flags waving, into the conversation.
This notion of genocide.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, look,
Israel did not commit a genocide in Gaza. There's no standard by which Israel committed a genocide in Gaza, just on a factual level.
Just as a legal and factual level.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is your opinion of this?
My opinion is, I understand the tendency for people to make that, to assert that.
Why?
On the basis of the images and the proportionality.
Doesn't mean genocide.
No. And by the way, I agree with you.
And international and proportionality doesn't mean that if you kill my child and I then kill 7 criminals, that I've been disproportionate.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think but I understand that tendency on the basis of trying to reconcile the proportionate nature of how the war was ultimately conducted and the devastation.
I have a question. Why do you feel the need to create a permission structure for that sort of stuff? I mean, meaning it's not true.
Yeah.
Why not just say It's not true.
Yeah, look, I don't know the definition, or I don't know the legal threshold. That's not my opinion, so I don't share opinion as it relates to genocide. I do not agree with that notion.
You are so unprepared. You are not only unprepared to run for office for president, Gavin Newsom, you're unprepared for an interview with Ben Shapiro on your own podcast. Whose podcast is this? Why is he running circles around you? Why is he the one asking you the questions? And you don't know? I can't. I mean, sure, yeah, I agree with you. Hey, I agree. Hey, as long as the point of this podcast is so you come on and I just agree with you, man. I mean, I understand the tendency. First of all, there are legal definitions here. There are legal definitions, just like there are legal definitions on what is illegal or illegal and under international law. Do you believe in international law? Maybe we should start there. Because Israel has been violating international law. And according to genocide experts who study this, yes, the crimes in Gaza have risen to the level of genocide. And it's not because of the images, right? It's not, but then you got this fucking gish galloping going on with Shapiro, and he cannot even defend against that. And you know why, people? Because he doesn't believe in anything. Let's remember that. And so not believing in anything is not going to get voters to vote for you. Man, I wish it would, right? We saw what happened in 2024. Kamala and Newsom are in the same camp of these corporate Californian centrists who literally just put their finger in the air, see which way the wind is blowing, and try to be that person. But they actually don't fundamentally have any core beliefs. This is a guy who months ago said, I don't even think about AIPAC. Fool, you don't think about AIPAC? You don't think about one of the biggest lobbies in our country that has been controlling an entire party, let alone almost two parties? Like, that doesn't factor in? You don't think about AIPAC? What are you talking about? So, like, again, it is form and it is substance. This man is unprepared, and especially on the substance, you guys, voters are not forgetting, because we can't forget, because we see it still every day, what Democrats have done and how they've ignored Palestinians, how they could not even be bothered to put a Palestinian on stage at the DNC, how they decided they were going to campaign with Liz Cheney, and that was going to be a better look for them than cutting their own base of Arab Americans, of Muslim Americans, of people, of anti-war Americans, of young Americans, of leftists out. That was more important for them. That's how they were going to win. And guess what? They didn't. And they won't. So, yeah, I'm bitching about Gavin Newsom. All right. The man is trash. He belongs nowhere near the White House. He stands on no principles. He doesn't even know what those are. And with that, let me bring him in. He's a comedian. He's an actor. He's a political satirist. He's a content creator. He's one of my favorite people on the internet. Please welcome Walter Masterson.
Hey, what's up?
Walter.
Yeah, so just got back. Boy. It's always wild stuff.
It's a little bit more on the nose that you're like in front of, if you're listening. His backdrop is just a stormtrooper. It seems like you might have like taxidermied an ICE agent on your and brought him back in your carry-on here, because you saw Minneapolis and the occupation that is happening there firsthand. And we're gonna
the ICE-DF.
Yeah, the ICE-DF. And I want to talk about it because, as like, I'm assuming, part of what you're bitching about is everything you saw there. But like, just give me your overall reactions and thoughts to having been on the ground for a few days.
Yeah. So, okay. So first of all, Jolly Good Ginger, my friend Jolly Good Ginger got there before me. He said, listen, it's worse than you can think. There's way too many ICE agents. And I've been to multiple cities and ICE facilities, Portland, Chicago, DC. There's like way too many ICE agents. Like it's actually not challenging to find them like it is in other cities, because you will just run into them at a traffic light. Easy. And
We're talking, by the way, a city of 700 police, 3,000 ICE agents.
Oh yeah, and they are not like moving in silence and violence like they do in the other cities. They are like open, like we're here, let's go.
Yeah,
so they wild for that. So, and the police work in concert with them, right? Like they don't necessarily, they're working in concert with them as well. So which is very frustrating because you're like all the talk with Mayor Fry and Tim Walz, you're like, all right, this is nonsense.
Well, what's interesting is there's a 60 Minutes piece out. I mean, is whatever 60 Minutes, if it still even exists. But the police chief is saying, look, we're overwhelmed with these complaints about people saying, that ICE smashed their windows or there's an empty car rolling through the street. And so their 911 calls are completely overwhelmed with people who are complaining on ICE. And yet, as you mentioned, there is collaboration, just like there has been in pretty much every state and city that ICE has been deployed to.
Yeah. So let me see. Let me start with the Jake Lang protest because that is very interesting. Okay. So Jake Lang had the white supremacist protest. His plan was to literally explicitly stated to burn a Quran, march from downtown Minneapolis, march into Somali neighborhoods, openly harass them, aggressively harass them, and burn a Quran.
Hang on, back up a little bit. First of all, I think what you just said is really important because let's remember the reason that Trump and Miller chose Minnesota is specifically because of the Somali American community there, because they don't like Ilhan Omar, whatever the hell else, right? And they don't like Tim Walz. You're saying this guy, Jake Lang, who is he? Because actually, I didn't know who he was. Explain to listeners.
So he assaulted police officers and was jailed for January 6th. Trump pardoned him. And I had met him one time before because I was thrown out of CPAC with Jake Lang. Jake Lang, they did a sweep at CPAC. I was there with a press pass, and they swept it, kicked out all the progressive influencers, journalists, and kicked out the J6 people. So the rank and file of the MAGA movement does not like them because they're kind of like the useful idiots, right? Publicly they're like, oh yes, we love them. Privately they're like, get these people out of there. So that was the first one. The second time was at the rally. He does this. He goes and he's done it. He's went into Dearborn, Michigan, and burnt a Quran, and he's aggressively gone into neighborhoods and called for them to be deported regardless of citizenship, promotes the Great Replacement theory, all of that stuff.
And my first question when I heard that there was like this, pardon J6er influencer burning the Quran, I'm like, wait a minute, did you just not get hired by ICE? What happened?
Yeah. You're like, bro, like go apply for ICE. I don't understand. I mean, it's a growth industry, right? Like, I don't understand why you can't just go and apply for ICE because he would have been treated a lot differently. I mean,
well, let's play some clips then because I really want to play can I play them? And then you can explain.
Let's go.
So he goes to do, I guess, this stunt. And obviously he meets, I don't know if you've seen this guy, Walter Masterson, who is just incredible at live trolling. Here you are in his face.
I'm with the incel, Nick, Jeremy Lang. What's your body count, man?
Jake Lang.
What's Jeremy, though? It's Jeremy. What's it like being a virgin? When was the last time you legally touched a vagina? Nick, Jake Lang has never legally touched a vagina.
Do not touch. Do not touch.
When was the last time you've legally touched a vagina, Jake?
Do not touch.
All right, so Jake, I've been talking to ICE officers trying to explain where the clitoris is. God bless you. So do you need help finding the clitoris? Fuck you. Jake Lang, where's the clitoris? People want to know.
Okay. It's incredible. I don't even think he had the room to try to throw a punch, but he heard you. You're up in his ear. And I'm just like, he's deciding not to start shit with you. Do you think that's because he was actually surrounded by people who hated his guts and didn't have much support? Tell me how that all played out.
Okay, so he brought a significant crew with him, and he normally rolls deep. And so here's, first off, let's get foundational. Normally at these rallies, they show up and the police surround them and protect them from everyone else. That is how they have historically went. If you're an activist and you've been to protests like these people have some type of legal permit and they have protection from the local police.
Interesting.
Right?
That's somehow not how it works when any progressive or leftist gets a permit for their protest.
It can work, but we know. So that's how I was expecting it to go down. Now, just to set the scene for you, this is, the home of the George Floyd protests and Minneapolis. So Fry and Walz were under tremendous public pressure to make sure that, to protect private property.
Mm-hmm.
What do we know about the police? They are there to protect private property.
Mm-hmm.
So we went, there was lots of PD there. There was SWAT teams, but it was on the perimeter. Okay. They never entered they never entered inside to protect Jake Lang. They stayed on the perimeter for blocks, making sure that there was no rioting, looting, windows smashed in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the key fundamental difference. He did not have the police backing him up. He had his people, but Minneapolis was over it. Like, there were a lot of people there that were not activists. They were just locals that heard about this and said, absolutely not. I'm coming to throw hands.
Here's where things got a little crazy, and Jake is just clearly needs to be extracted, but cannot be. And there's even more drama I'll play for you. Okay.
Yeah, that was the first ledge. So he comes
the first ledge. He's like pushed up against a wall here.
So this is how it played out. The video you saw with Jake and I was talking to him. The crowd pushes us both against a wall. I'm going, I'm going to get crushed.
Mm-hmm.
He and I both climb up onto that ledge together. I'm like, and it was surreal. I was like, what is happening? Jake is now trapped on this ledge with me. He is like, so I'm calling him an intel. He can't go anywhere. And it was hilarious. So he cannot go anywhere. He's trapped on the ledge with me. He's screwed. So it got like very rowdy to the point where I was like, all right, I gotta go. Like, people in the crowd don't recognize me. They don't know who is with who.
Yes.
This is getting dangerous. They don't know what side I'm with, whatever. He had his people with him that were very, aggressive and all that, ready to scrap, but they were just wildly outnumbered. I thought mistakenly that he came there he was expecting to get beaten up.
Mm-hmm.
And that was
right. Sort of his little Nancy Mace punch me in the face so I can make this a thing moment.
He was genuinely shocked, which was I was like, oh,
they're not the smartest.
I was like, oh, well, you're really not ready for this. Like, wow. Okay. Like, because he's done this before, and this is the first time it did. Like, there's like a few counter protesters. This time there was like 1,000.
Right.
The black guy,
and by the way, audio, I think it was people maybe listening to the podcast just heard that, but it's him like completely swallowed by the crowd and stormed, and it looks like he's got a paintball stain on him. Someone threw shit at him.
That's on my jacket. My jacket and my backpack are ruined. Someone they were paint balloons, and then his people were like spraying pepper spray. So that's what I was like, I gotta go before I get pepper sprayed and punched in the face. And then so Yeah.
It
so
doesn't end there though, because
No.
can I play this video of the two women who apparently Jake's people ditched him because he
they were beaten up. No, they didn't. Well, ditch is like means that they got to voluntarily leave. No, everyone was busy individually getting their ass kicked. That was
beautiful. See, I need video of that. I mean, it sounds very beautiful, and I'm happy that it doesn't seem like anyone was severely hurt. But Jake seems to have tried to seek refuge, of all places, in the car of two women, and one of them seems to be trans.
Trans woman's car,
who maybe saved his life. Take a look at this.
Like what the fuck is what all this shit that's going on is such bullshit. I'm low-key scared for our country, and it sucks that it's starting in Minnesota, but like I do not support that. They're bullying, they are bad people, they're ripping apart families. Don't fuck with it. This guy, still don't even know his full name. Jake is all I know. And apparently
he's a horrible freaking person.
The horrible people that apparently I'm sure a lot of you guys do know about, but I had never heard of him. We see him run up to our car and he's like, can I please get in? Can I please get in? Like, they hurt me so bad, da 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 da. That's all the context we have. So in our heads, it's like, oh my God, like, was he just attacked by ICE? Like,
we thought ICE was after him, so we're like, okay, whatever, like, hop in the freaking car real quick. And then all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of people coming here and storming us and, like, beating up the car, ruining the car, pulling this dude out. Like, what is going on?
Surrounding the car from every single angle. And yeah, we had no idea what we was getting ourselves into. It's just like, we saw an injured man, so like, obviously we're gonna help because we're not bad people. Where was his like limo? If everyone knows him and he travels the country, like, or like, where's your like, you ain't got like people with you? Why was he like literally by himself? Like, what? I don't even.
Stupid.
What is the thought process there?
Because he's stupid and he likes attention and he thinks it's cool.
As fuck. He's so lucky we stopped for him. He's so lucky we did not know who he was because, I'm sorry, but like, you're for the streets. We're letting the wolves have you next time.
We'll look from in here and watch you get beat up and then go along our way and not be a part of this.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah. So they didn't know who he was and everything. No, but that was so he ran into a hotel and then he ran out the exit door and then into their car because the hotel was mobbed. And so like that was people like went around the back of the hotel and chased him as he went out the exit. Like the hotel was I'm sorry, are you staying here? So like so here's the thing. The police were nowhere to be found because they were busy protecting private property. We need to understand that, like, so capitalism screwed him over in this situation. Normally, they always get a police escort. This time, the governor and the mayor had a huge emphasis on protecting private property. Open, because businesses in that area were shut down in anticipation of this counter-protest.
Right.
So I went to go get coffee at this like well-reviewed place. No, that was closed. There's like another place, like restaurants were closed.
Walter's like, I was gonna do another piece of content, where I have a very good-looking latte and smugly look in the camera, and it was just closed. Well, I actually kind of love.
Here's the best part. Though.
Yes.
So there is this just. I mean, to call them a mob is an understatement. I would just call them just a school of piranhas running through these people. Like, and some of them are activists, some of them are not. They're just locals that were like, I am done with this nonsense, right? And he's out here saying, Minnesota needs more state violence. So he's instigating at like a 15. So he gets beaten up. His entire crew beaten like everyone is handled. And then this is the part, if anyone has this on tape, please send this to me, please. It was like a bad comedy. There is like this entire mob moving this way, right? This MAGA guy shows up late, no idea what's happening. He comes in from the rear. He is wearing a Border Patrol jacket, MAGA hat, and it has a megaphone, and he announces to this school of piranhas that Trump deports retards. All of you have to go. And this is literally as they have been like, as like they're chasing the boat. This entire mob just turns around like, I'm sorry, what? And he's like, did I stutter? And like, literally, he could not have chosen a worse time to enter. He wasn't part of their group.
This is a sitcom. This is a fucking sitcom.
Oh,
I'm sorry. All the retards gotta go.
Yeah. All of you, like Trump's out here deporting retards, and you got all the retards. That means all of you got to go, all the liberals, and proceeds to just start talking shit to a mob that is like just salivating for like human flesh at this point, right? Within a minute, this like cloud envelops him. His jacket's gone, hat gone, his megaphone gone, and he's just spit out the other side. It was like, and I was like,
it's a cartoon, dude.
It is a cartoon. I was like, this is the greatest timing I've ever seen for him to show up like, and
I love it.
And I mean, like, to show up, and I mean, God bless him. He announced to an entire group of people. He announces, and he heard about it. And
he's
was like,
all alone. It's amazing. And then, of course, he probably tried to get into the getaway car of another trans woman, as you do.
They spit him out. They just kicked him out. But
I did want to pivot to because there's more to talk about. Like, in all seriousness, what is happening in Minneapolis is. It really is a testing ground. Obviously, all of it is a provocation to invoke the Insurrection Act that has not happened yet. But I just want to go over, like, we're talking people's windows being smashed. They're being pulled out of their vehicles, facial recognition being used on everyone, running plates and information on them, creating databases that we know Palantir is helping with, arresting indigenous people from the Oglala Sioux Nation, literal indigenous people saying and accusing them of being undocumented. Lol. An elderly man in his underwear arrested in zero temperatures, dragged out of his home in his robe. He's a naturalized citizen from Laos. And then, at the same time, you've got like other atrocities happening, like an ICE officer, David Corvell, his name is, admitting to raping a detainee for months in exchange for letting her
What year did that happen?
That was, I think, the end of last year. That was not like years and years ago.
I'm wondering when that happened, because the part that shocked me is that he was being brought to trial for it. I was like,
right.
How is that? I was like, there's accountability here. Like,
it's because he admitted it. Right. It might have been a Biden era.
Yeah. Like, what do you have to do to get, what does a guy got to do to get arrested around here?
Like, I am the rapist. And I wanted to play this. This is from Democracy Now! That did an incredible, package on this from Minneapolis. And this is a woman who, like Renee Good, was, filming ICE, was trying to protect her community. And this was her account of what happened.
As soon as they all got into the vehicle and shut the doors, they just immediately started taunting me, making fun of me. One of them took a photo of me and showed it to the other agents, and, they were just laughing, insinuated that I was ugly. And then one of the agents, the one who had sprayed the pepper spray into my car, proceeded to say, "You guys got to stop obstructing us. That's why that lesbian bitch is dead," referring to Renee Good.
I just feel like we need to really sit on those kinds of words and those kinds of incidents. First of all, it's bad enough to be pulled from your car and be put, and be arrested or detained, but then being put in a car of straight up white nationalist, misogynist thugs, like, who see you as the enemy because you're not hot in the way they want you to be. Like, what? And then are like, "Oh, we're going to kill you like the lesbian bitch." Like, Walter, Kristi Noem's out here going, "Don't say Jonathan Ross's name. His family's been through so much. Don't dox him." Yeah. Meanwhile, we will straight up send your photo to Palantir and create an entire database of you for exercising your First Amendment right.
Yeah, no, and so at the Whipple facility, there's protesters there 24/7, and Bovino goes out multiple times a day with his thugs to make content basically because he's an influencer, you know.
Yep.
He actually has more than one Nazi-looking jacket because you ever see pictures of him, you're like, that looks like like a 1930s German chic fashionista jacket, and he has more than one of them, which is insane. And he comes out there multiple times a day. The agents from their window of the Whipple facility will hold up signs saying, say her name, Lake and Riley, and
God.
which is like, as a member of law enforcement, they come out several times a day to terrorize protesters, tear gas, all of that. And that's just and it's always like, they claim it's because they're, in the road blocking the facility. It's always the protesters there yell and scream and curse at people. They're never.
I mean, this is the equivalent of us getting power and then like legit becoming the meme with the gun, rainbow gun, that's like, put the pronouns back in the email. Like, if we were to actually, this is the most culture war, like physical, real, literal culture war. If it's like, if the radical left, if a bunch of, queer folks went around going, did you put your pronouns in your email? You say your fucking pronouns. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, like, it's the real cancel culture.
It is the real cancel culture. It is the real, you can't say that, free speech mongers. And what's really interesting is you're finding out that, especially in Minneapolis, people are finding out that actually their neighbors maybe work for ICE. And in one instance, and I want to play this, I'm sure you've seen it, but a pastor named David Easterwood, it seems like he's been running basically a cell, or kind of like a station for ICE, I guess. We don't know how long, but local protesters went out to his congregation, to his church, and let him hear about it. Take a look.
David Easterwood is a pastor here. He is also the director of the field office for ICE.
Field office, thank you.
In St. Paul. So someone who claims to worship God, teaching people in this church about God, is out there overseeing ICE agents. Think about what we've experienced. The murder of Renee Good at the hands of ICE. A Venezuelan national shot by ICE. A 6-month-old baby who almost died as a result of ICE unleashing military-grade weapons on our community. How dare you claim to be a pastor of God and you are involved in evil in our community?
Do you think Jesus would be understanding? We're about worship these folks.
Okay, so that's just a little bit. It's wild to have.
Well, MAGA is pissed. The fake Christians that don't understand Jesus, they don't give a fuck about Jesus. They've heard of him. They claim to worship him. They are online and they're like furious at this. And
so Pam Bondi's investigating the protesters, if that's what you mean. They're mad at the protesters.
Yeah.
So you're right, that you could even go into a place of worship, it's funny. It's very Putin and Pussy Riot coded. Like, remember Pussy Riot, was detained up to however many years for the crime of going into a place of worship and protesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like, that's also just like, that's like the most sleeper cell ass shit I've ever seen. Like, this again is an entire movement that says somehow there's a bunch of secret, Muslims who want to do Sharia, or everyone's ISIS, or everyone's Tren de Aragua, or whatever the hell they are. And you have a straight up pastor who's like, nah, I'm the field office for ICE, baby. Like, I'm responsible. People come through me. That's fucking terrifying.
Oh yeah. And the same people upset about this have never mentioned, they are not upset that ICE has gone into churches. and
Oh,
literally
no.
like in the middle of services, they're not mad that they've deported children in the middle of their cancer treatments, right? They don't give a shit about any of that. But coming in and protesting, I mean, just time and a place, people, right?
I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent. Before we leave the Minneapolis stuff, I do want to say general strike this Friday. Faith leaders, unions, they're calling for a Minnesota general strike. And I do want to just mention, like, to me, and Walter, I'm curious on your thoughts too, but to me, the way out of this is general strike and mass civil disobedience. Because it's great to tail ice, it's great to do these things, it's also incredibly dangerous, and they want to call you a terrorist for doing it. And I think what needs to be done, obviously you have to keep your neighborhood safe, but for me, it's about complete non-compliance, because these fools will shoot you whatever, but it's about, like, okay, what if we do a mass sit down, a mass die-in, whatever it is, blocking, and I'm not talking about like 10 people or 20 or even 30. I mean like hundreds and hundreds of people in mass civil disobedience actions. I think this general strike is great. I hope we can build on it. But that to me is the only way that we are going to get through to not just our leaders, but also to ICE, because again, they are looking for, the excuse to try to invoke the Insurrection Act or do whatever. And I'm someone who's like, whatever, don't keep it. I mean, who cares? Like, they're always going to call you violent, whether or not you are peaceful or not. But I'm trying to see a way out of it.
I think it's, as a fellow dirty leftist, as a dirty leftist myself, I believe in the general strike. I just don't believe, I think we as leftists like put all our stock into that. Whenever I speak to someone, it is the only, like that is one of many tactics.
Right.
I want to leave like everything else on the table. And I am 100% on all of that. The only part that I'm not 100% is when like everything is abandoned in favor of that. It's like, well, hey, like, let's just, I'm not going to show up. I'm not going to do mutual aid. I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to vote in primaries.
Right. It's just got to be general strike or nothing.
Just let me know when there's a general strike, and then I'll get off my couch. Yeah, right. And I'm like, and I'm just like, God damn it. Like, because I've been around this. Like, I've been hearing the word general strike for several years, and I'm like, okay, we gotta have something in addition to it. A list of demands, so on and so forth.
100%. Absolutely. Well, I don't know if you heard, but, Cory Booker is floating some incredible reforms.
Oh, my God. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I was mentioning general strike. I forgot to mention Cory Booker as well. So, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Because he wants to prevent ICE from hiring people who've been in hate groups. So in order to get into the hate
he wants
group,
to abolish ICE?
Well, no, Walter, that's not what he means. Look, if I could direct you also to Mark Kelly, who also they have a great acronym. I'm forgetting it, but you know what I mean. It's like do less bad is basically Mark Kelly and Ruben Gallego's pitch here, and I feel like we should really hear them out. It's like you can crack some skulls, like maybe shoot twice, but not 3 times at an unarmed woman in her car. They want to do
on my channel. I have just uploaded a video, literally like an hour ago, where I spoke with Omar, Chelly Pingree, because there was a whole bunch of progressive caucus Congress people that came to Minneapolis to talk in unison, Pramila Jayapal, all that, and I interviewed a bunch of them, and they're more on board with like the hey, this is default, this agency is trash, like through and through. If they weren't like totally on board, like Chelly Pingree was like, she could explain her position, where I was like, she's like, this is what ICE used to be. This is what we used to use it for, when it was for judicial, this and that. She's like, it is not that anymore. And they were a little bit more honest about, like, they're like, we're in the minority here. Like we cannot, the best we can do is stop them from getting funding, things like that. But they had a better.
Which is why
yeah.
People need to call their Congress people, is what I'm saying, and tell them, don't vote for this appropriation bill. Shut it down again over ICE funding.
Yeah, and the whole training thing, because it's if you're like some establishment Dem, you're like, you lean on the, just training, right? And then you look at Jonathan Ross, the murderer of Renee Good. He has been deployed to Iraq. He has seen combat. He is part of the Joint Terrorist Task Force. He is the training. He is the trainer. He trains ICE agents. So he is the result of this. He is someone who, and the more you read about his training, he has a pedigree, right? The more you read about it, the more you're thinking, yeah, there's no reason for him to be freaking out. He didn't just jump into this 47 days ago. He definitely, he knew when he shoots someone he meant to shoot them.
Yep, absolutely. No, I think it needs to be said over and over again. I want to pivot, kind of a hard pivot, because we got to talk about milk. All right.
Listen, I just want to say, I drink unpasteurized milk, and before I drink unpasteurized milk, I like to heat it up at 161 degrees for 15 seconds.
Great temperature.
Maybe put it in the blender to get some of the curdling out, and then
keep that in. No, you got to keep that in.
Yeah. I know.
I'm a straight from the outer kind of gal myself. The dirtier, the better. Straight from the pail. But look, on January 7th, the Department of Agriculture released their updated dietary guidelines. It's all about protein, and it's all about whole milk. Okay, this is the big thing that they're going all in on, and it is really terrifying because of the propaganda they're putting out. Let me just play a little bit of it. This is supposed to be their pitch for whole milk, and it's not supposed to be creepy or remind you that this is a party that protects pedophiles at all.
Yeah, nice. Oh. 1, 2, 3.
Milk.
Look right here. Right there. Look here. Nice. Nice.
Drink whole milk.
Yay.
What Mormon cult did they get these children from?
Yes.
Why are they dressed like they're in some LDS, polygamist cult?
And the music is so ominous. Just talk to anyone in advertising. You got to put happy music when there's kids. Not like a dun 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 dun. And they also, the kids look really sleepless and maybe they're allergic to this milk. It's important to know that 3 of the 9 experts that made this new food pyramid have ties to the dairy industry, of course. Trump has signed a bill to allow schools to serve whole milk, again, reversing Obama-era restrictions. Again, this is an administration that simultaneously hates fat people and blames them for being fat, and then is all in on drinking as much fat as possible, eating as much fat as possible. This is the beef tallow wing of conservatism. So they're doing this whole whole milk is back. And in case you were wondering how that was spelled, Trump is just clarifying it for you.
It's actually a legal definition, whole milk. And it's whole with a W for those of you that have a problem. Most of the media will get that.
Is it is it whole milk with a W, sir? Oh, so it's not whole milk. So it's not milk from your hole. It's not
for your vagina.
It's it's not.
Yeah, you can't
vagina in case you're thinking about vagina holes or pee-pee holes. It's not my semen.
He's like, I just I see a hole, I just just jump right in.
Exactly. I'm sorry, my guy, you're not beating the pedophilia charges when you say shit like that. oh, it's whole. It's not whole with
Glory whole milk. You know, we all know Glory whole milk. I mean, you know, you don't go 2%
It's the best milk there is.
Glory whole.
But literally, like when he says whole milk and that's whole with a W, not an H, you're like, okay, what was the like menu on offer at Epstein Island called whole milk? You know what I mean? Like, doesn't mean we're just like, this fucking guy knows something. Oh, anyway, they're putting out images of him that really harken back to, again, I think when MAGA and thinks America was great. It's like the 50s, all right? Whiteness, surviving on one income. Well, we're not going to do the surviving on one income, but we're going to do the whiteness thing. And, Paige, our producer, has been doing digging around this. And like milk, of course, is kind of associated with whiteness. Herbert Hoover, formerly, wait, no, never mind. Was he CIA? CIA, right? Well, in his speech, and former president, he said the very growth and virility of the white races. Milk means the very growth and virility of the white races. Like, what the shit? And it's sort of like
I didn't know Hoover said that.
Dude, of all the things. And I think it's also important to know that a lot of people of color are lactose intolerant, right? It's like huge amounts of African American, Asian Americans, white people generally tend not to be so lactose intolerant. So there is this racist element to it. Here's our boy.
The left doesn't tolerate lactose. They're so intolerant.
They're so intolerant. They're intolerating lactose. This is RFK Jr. tweeting out a video of himself, a la John Hamm in the club, drinking whole milk in the club. First of all, if you ever saw a grown man in a suit drinking whole milk in the club, you know that like that's your last night on earth because he will be murdering you.
Yeah, he's about to take out like a Mac 11. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a mass shooter right there.
Yeah.
Straight up. But again, it is like it's so fucking bizarre. And then you're like, okay, I guess this has to do with your campaign around whiteness and your campaign against oat milk. I mean, legit, I'm sure you've been called a soy boy, Walter.
Yeah. No, soy boy, beta cuck, low T, soy boy, beta cuck, low T, what else? Keep going.
Which is funny because it's like they're always like, oh yeah, soy, gives you titties. You know what gives you titties, dude? Drinking whole milk, like drinking, just like just fucking dude, drink half and half. You know what I mean? I mean, the world's about to end. Let's go. I will.
Yeah, I mean, what's their thing with 2%? They're like, no, like, God damn it.
No, it's got to be whole. Well, also, their real thing is raw. I feel like all this is a permission structure, to use Ben Shapiro's words, to just get us used to raw milk. Speaking of the way you like to enjoy dairy.
Yeah.
That's where we're headed.
Yeah. I like to, drink unpasteurized milk. But, before I drink it, I heat it up to 161 degrees at 15 seconds for 15 seconds.
Do you keep the brain worms in, or do you sort of savor them for like other meals? Do you spread them out?
I mean, you put them in the blender, and then that way it's sort of mixed in a little bit, then it's like 1,000 worms, right?
I mean, yes, obviously they're.
Yeah. And then you're getting tuberculosis. Yeah. But yeah, it is just funny. I'm going to try doing that with that bit with MAGA when they talk about the unpasteurized. I'll be like, yeah, just try it. Yeah, I'm just going to try heating it up at 15 seconds, 161 degrees, just doing that. And they call it something else except pasteurization. Because I don't know, like when you actually learn what pasteurization means and what the process is, you're like, wait, that's it? That's like when they think that they're just like, putting formaldehyde in it and mercury and stuff and being like, here's some fluoride in your milk, you piece of shit. Yeah. And then when you learn about the pasteurization process, you're like, wait, that's nothing. That's it.
So wait, did I totally miss your joke about heating it up? That like that's not pasteurization. That is pasteurization.
Yeah, like when it goes over most people's heads because most people think the pasteurization process is like in, this whole thing, whereas it is like, it's just like, oh yeah, heat it up, doop, here.
Right, the safe way. It went over my head as well because I don't think about it too much.
Yeah, because I'm going to start doing that with everything. I think we need to start changing what words mean because they don't know what words mean. Like, instead of socialism, just describe socialism, but just don't say it. Call it something else.
Well, I mean, that's what Charlie Kirk did. He was like, the price of housing is too expensive. If only there was like a program, help kids get a leg up. But again, it's their thing is socialism. It's national socialism, if you will. It's socialism just for a few white people. And now I'm gonna go sulk about not getting your pasteurization reference. I thought you just wanted to heat it up.
That's how good it is. That's how it's gonna work on that. Like that's how I think when I talk to MAGA about it, it's gonna work.
I'm excited for that. I'm excited for you to troll, I don't know, some dairy farmers or just interview some cows on their thoughts. And Walter, you really do some of the best work out there.
Thank you.
I'm waiting for the moment we team up when I, get my act together and get on the road again. And
I would love to see you, just IRL, like go at
I'm pretty feisty. That's the problem is like once the shit gets real, I will get real back. But I was thinking we could attend the Melania opening at some point. The film is opening in 10 days. So I hope you have something planned.
That is a real thing.
It's a real thing.
I thought they were just gonna like give her some money as like a sort of bribe.
They're subjecting us to it as well.
Yeah, they're like, if we have to watch this, so do you. Yeah.
Indeed. Walter Masterson, where can people find you, follow your work, support you?
Just go to my Patreon and just give me money. Patreon.com Walter Masterson. And just give me some Peter Thiel love. Give me some Peter Thiel style love.
Just the way he knows how to love. I think he mostly bullies his boyfriends into suicide. So don't do that to Walter, but definitely go support him. Allegedly. You're great. Come back anytime. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you all for being here as well. I'm going to read comments at the end, but I appreciate y'all, especially B-Cat. Okay, I'll read this. Oat milk is delicious. It is. It is, okay? It depends on which brand. I don't really like Oatly, and I don't like Planet Oat. But I know I probably like the worst. I probably like the most corporate one. I like Chobani. Chobani's good. Sorry, their oat milk is good. I like the Trader Joe's brand too. No one sponsored me. But if they wanted to sponsor me, you could sponsor me. You know what? I'm going to shut up and bring in my next guest, who is a San Francisco-based journalist and author of the forthcoming book, The Nerd Reich, Silicon Valley Fascism and the War on Democracy. He writes a newsletter everyone should check out called The Nerd Reich as well. Please welcome Gil Duran.
Hey.
Hey, welcome. I am at once terrified to have you on and very excited because I feel like your reporting and your writing gives me heart palpitations. It makes me feel like I'm having like a little bit of a panic attack because of how well you report on these tech overlords that are controlling more and more of our lives and are in power in a way that I don't even think they thought imaginable, Gil. So thank you for joining me. I wanted to ask you to open with talking about Peter Thiel, because we talked about Minneapolis. You see the way that ICE officers, agents, whatever, are taking people's photos, the number of ICE contracts that are going to Palantir. This is like very clear tech authoritarianism and tech fascism. And I feel like no politician or even big media outlet is accurately describing it as that. But give me your sense of what we see playing out in the streets of Minneapolis and how it, the sort of powers that be behind it.
Well, we're seeing the rise of an AI-powered surveillance Gestapo in the United States. The real purpose of ICE isn't to deport immigrants. It's to terrorize the population. It's to make Americans feel fear. It's to give them the understanding that things have now changed and masked men with guns roam the streets and do whatever they want, and the local police and local politicians can't stop them. So that's what this is really about. It's a psychological terror tactic designed to normalize violence, and state oppression. And fortunately, people are pushing back and taking to the streets, and even Trump is now worried about the optics of how this looks. These people are not being greeted as liberators, they're being greeted as invaders, because on some level, people in our cities know the degree to which we are all interconnected with immigrants who make our entire way of life possible and keep prices down, etc. We're exploiting these people. We are not giving them things for free. So that's what it's really about. And on the tech side, you have these venture capitalists and their companies that are eager to get connected to the trillion-dollar money funnel of federal budgets. And we see that happening with Palantir and ICE, with Palantir and the military. All of these companies, all of these tech billionaires who backed Trump are cashing in on federal contracts. Meanwhile, Trump is cashing in on crypto. So there's this very circular venture capital style circle jerk going on where everybody's making a lot of money on both sides of the equation. And so Palantir is definitely cashing in on these things and doing whatever mysterious stuff it does to help them perfect their surveillance capabilities.
I think that's a really good opening salvo for all of this. I want to talk about news from today and over the weekend, which is Greenland. Trump is openly, posturing for Greenland and getting the, 11th Infantry in Alaska prepared for a possible invasion, threatening Denmark, threatening EU countries with 10% tariffs if they don't go along with it. Trump says, of course, this is all about China and Russia. Sure, bro. He's also hinting that he's mad at Denmark because of mad at Norway for being snubbed by the Nobel Peace Prize, even though Norway doesn't control Greenland, but that the invasion might be because he was overlooked by Norway for the Nobel Peace Prize. He straight up wrote to the Prime Minister, Jonas Gahr Store. He wrote, "Dear Jonas," just straight, "Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant. We can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America." Which is just absolutely, it's both stupid and terrifying. But here we are. You have a great explainer, and I urge everyone to subscribe to the Nerd Reich, also on YouTube. As well as going to your blog, and you're writing about it, but you explain this connection between Trump's fascination with Greenland and specifically network states, the idea of privatized countries, basically, that are backed and supported by billionaires and by crypto. Can you just break that down? Like, why Greenland? What is going on here?
Well, Greenland has a lot of rare earth minerals, natural resources. As climate change melts the ice, it's going to become a pretty prime place to be in the age of global warming. And it's got a pretty small population, most of it indigenous. And so there's been interest in acquiring Greenland for quite some time through American history. It's this huge, the largest island in the world. And in 2018, a billionaire named Ron Lauder, who Trump has known a long time, told him he should think about buying Greenland. And Lauder has a lot of investment interests in Greenland, companies trying to mine these minerals, whatever, all kinds of ideas they have for making business in Greenland. And what's happened is that there's been a convergence of other Silicon Valley investors around these companies in Greenland. People have gotten on the Greenland train that somehow we're going to buy Greenland. That was Trump's play in the first administration. He's going to buy Greenland. Now it's shifted to we're going to take Greenland one way or the other. And part of that narrative has involved an idea from Silicon Valley to create a new so-called freedom city in Greenland. This would be a sort of high-tech utopian city carved out from the ice, I guess, where you could go to escape taxes, sort of like a Cayman Islands in the Arctic. Right. So how these cities work is you create a new territory, and you have your own rules and your own government. And so the idea is that you create new territories where billionaires can go and take their money in their companies, at least on paper, and escape all taxes, all democracy, all law, and all regulation. And so a few years ago, this guy named Dryden Brown, who's the CEO of a so-called company called Praxis, goes to Greenland to try to buy it because he wants to build a freedom city there. Praxis is this idea to build a 400,000 person tech utopian city somewhere in the world. At first, it was going to be in the Mediterranean. Then they went to look at the Dominican Republic. Then they went to Greenland, made a big noise about that. Most recently, they were in South Africa. Before that, they were saying they're going to build it near an air base in Southern California. And this is like a 30-year-old guy who didn't go to college, some surfer, and he wouldn't matter, this CEO of Praxis, except that Praxis is funded by like Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen, Sam Altman. All of these tech billionaires have given, according to Praxis, $525 million in funding for this uneducated surfer to build a new city somewhere. And we've recently seen that idea pop up again, actually just this past week on the All In podcast. David Sachs, Trump's AI and crypto advisor, said that we're going to make Greenland an offer, or Denmark an offer they can't refuse, which is basically a Godfather mafia terminology. And another member of the podcast, Chamath Palihapitiya, mentioned building a freedom zone or a freedom city there. So wherever you see this talk of freedom zones and freedom cities, what you're talking about is tech colonialism, or as some of them call it, tech Zionism. We're going to claim new lands around the world. We're going to build these new tech cities, and we're going to be the kings of the future. And part of this idea involves a future in which the United States no longer matters. And to something you said at the beginning, this is about China and Russia in certain ways. It's about creating a world in which the United States is also an authoritarian country that goes and takes land from other people, like Russia is doing in Ukraine, like China wants to do in Taiwan. And so what Trump is doing is saying, we're no longer the defenders of democracy and the world order. We are now the invader, the authoritarian invader, who will even threaten our allies and try to take their land just because we want it. So it is about creating a world that's more friendly to authoritarians and to dictators. And that's the only China and Russia angle in Greenland.
That's a really, really well put. You referenced this in one of your articles, an article out in the New Republic. God, I don't have the name, but specifically on the metals and the Trump connection. Cobalt Metals, a mining outfit helping lead Greenland's modern gold rush, has seen investments from Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Andreessen Horowitz. Another company eyeing Greenland is Critical Metals Corporation, which is backed by the same hedge fund that Howard Lutnick, now Trump's Commerce Secretary, spent years running. Indeed, the investors behind Critical Metals Corp they write, have significant overlap with those investors behind Trump Media, creating what Robert Weissman, who helps run the pro-transparency group Public Citizen, called a circle of grift. So it's sort of what you mentioned in terms of like the AI also and crypto loop and feedback loop with the federal government. And I did want to ask because, you spend a lot of time studying these figures, and they really are, libertarians or anarcho-capitalists. I hate that anarcho is being dragged into this, but like they always pride themselves on no regulation or let them do whatever the hell they want, let them build a freedom city. And yet it's very clear now that their ideology rests on good old-fashioned American militarism and empire imperialism, straight up seizing other nations' power, putting their thumb on the scale in elections. Like, what do you make of that? Do they see this fundamental sort of hypocrisy in their ideology, or it doesn't really matter because it's not that consistent? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it doesn't really matter. They only care about their own power and their own self-interest. All of their logic flows from that. And that's actually a key feature of right-wing logic and fascist logic. It doesn't matter if we do the thing we say is wrong. It only matters if you do it. And I see so many liberals and leftists who drive themselves crazy on the hypocrisy train. They're doing the opposite of what they say. But you'll have a much calmer take if you realize that's part of the strategy. Part of it is to embrace hypocrisy, to not even acknowledge it, because it's the logic of hierarchy. They are always right. Everyone else is always wrong. And anything they do, whether it's flying on the Epstein plane or engaging in overt corruption, is fine. But if you do anything like that, you have to be held accountable. You have to be punished. So the one-way logic of fascism is one of the tells for these people. And none of them are libertarians or even have really ever been libertarians, I would say. They flirted with that. That was a phase. But, you know, Peter Thiel gets a lot of attention for a 2009 essay he wrote where he said he no longer believed that freedom and democracy were compatible. And the title of that essay was The Education of a Libertarian. And in that essay, basically, Thiel said bye-bye to libertarianism because it's not workable. There's no constituency there, just a bunch of 60-year-old incels with a bunch of gold in their basements is what you have for libertarians. It doesn't work in reality. It's divorced from reality. It's based on a world that doesn't exist because we do have governments, we have militaries. So what they've done is they've embraced the idea that the fascist idea that it is human nature and it is the lesson of history that aggression and dominance are always going to take place. We are a warlike species and someone is going to win. And that killing and invading is just what we do. And they are trying to monetize that and get at the head and get to the top of that pyramid of government and be in control. That's what they want, is the control. Partly out of a sense of this paranoid fantasy that there's going to be another French Revolution and everyone's going to come for the billionaires and take all their money and kill them. At the same time, it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy because they become so dangerous and destructive that somebody has to do something. And actually, the polls now show Americans shifting against billionaires. Over 50% of Americans say that billionaires are a threat to democracy. This was in a recent poll. 58% say billionaires spending on campaigns is bad for the country. And 94% of Americans believe that there's a wealth gap, and 73% think it's a serious issue. So the billionaires are really doing really bad PR for themselves in this greedy grab for everything all at once. And so one of the saving graces of these guys is that their egos are so big that they don't really consider whether they're wrong. And in politics, this leads you to make a lot of massive mistakes. And once public opinion really turns, they'll be pretty, they'll be up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. And I think that's going to happen.
I really hope you're right. I mean, I like to hear that from you since you study this and write about this all the time. I think absolutely Trump 2.0 has been a mad dash. Lines in the sand have been drawn, and billionaires are like, look, our bread is buttered over here. We don't want any of these. We don't even want to pay a modicum more of taxes. I mean, it's not like Democrats are really coming for their bag at all in any serious fashion. Democrats are not taking this seriously, and they still choose to throw down with out and out fascists because they're like, they, again, like you're saying, sort of foresee that eventually they'll have to give it up. And so they might as well, get in while the going is good. And I think, AI is a perfect example of this, whereas companies had climate pledges once upon a time, that's completely going out the window as AI sucks more and more of our natural resources of water, polluting the air, on and on. I wanted to ask you about Democrats though, and how they should be treating these AI and crypto barons. Why aren't they taking them as seriously? And should this be a litmus test for Democrats moving forward, in your opinion?
The big answer is money. Our political system has become addicted to billionaire money, and also to the idea that technology in Silicon Valley are about innovation in the future, and we have to be on the side of that. So Democrats have missed the memo, and largely because they're so blinded by that desire for the money that they really overlook all of the other big problems that they would otherwise be calling out. For example, Gavin Newsom in Davos today said that world leaders need knee pads because they're being too servile to Trump. And Gavin Newsom actually sells knee pads on his website for $100 a pair, but he should reserve a pair for himself. Gavin Newsom says nothing about the Silicon Valley billionaires who are helping Trump to tear apart democracy. He's on Twitter getting all this attention for acting like Trump, aping Trump, but he has nothing to say about Peter Thiel and Palantir. And he's also got a podcast where he's essentially filleting Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, and trying to be Mr. I'm a right-wing Democrat. Because the secret there is that There's never been a California Democrat elected president. It's very hard math. So Newsom is trying to convince voters in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania that he's not a California Democrat. So that's the game he's playing there. But so everyone has a reason to be kind of
doesn't believe in a
servile.
billionaire, doesn't believe in a wealth tax, doesn't believe in this one-time wealth tax on billionaires.
He and Peter Thiel are both raising money to defeat a California billionaire tax. I mean, that's where Gavin Newsom, the front runner of the 2028 Democratic race, allegedly, is today. So that's a big problem. It's a big blind spot. And I think they've sort of missed the memo because the money makes it easy to be blind to reality. I do think it should be a litmus test. There's no reason why any Democrat should be taking money from crypto or crypto PACs or speaking in favor of crypto. As my book will show, the idea of crypto that these guys in Silicon Valley embrace is that crypto is going to undermine the dollar and therefore undermine American government. Crypto is the essential element of this future of network states where billionaire oligarchs rule over their own digital kingdoms in Greenland or Honduras or wherever. So it's not clear why everyone's rushing headlong into the crypto thing. Same thing with AI. The big promise of AI from all of the venture capitalists and promoters of it, including Sam Altman, is that it's going to kill most jobs. Well, usually Democrats and Republicans run for office by promising to create jobs. So what's the plan for the future when there are no jobs? No one is speaking to that as they rush to puff up these industries. And it's very strange to me that no one is really calling them on that. At the same time, you've got the media rushing to institute AI in all of its programs, relying on Silicon Valley and billionaires for funding and for advertising. So we've really created a system where the billionaires own way too much, and that makes it hard for anybody to speak out about it. You know, I'm a freelance journalist who basically last year started writing about this because I felt like someone needed to do it. It's amazing to me that no one at a major paper did it. This is a pretty important story, and it's become glaringly obvious. I mean, they're literally trying to take Greenland and build a freedom city there, and you don't really hear people, for the most part, talking about that in the daily narrative about what's happening.
No, it is true, and especially like, you know, we've covered it, but the people we have on, the people doing the best reporting, whether it's on crypto or on AI, or on, you know, the radical ideology of these tech oligarchs and their, you know, friends, has all been independent journalists, which is, I think you're really, really right, is absolutely wild. And I hope you get very, very massive offers to work with a non-awful, because why would it? The Washington Post is going to lead the fucking story on why billionaires are a danger to democracy? I don't think so. I did want, because you mentioned it, and I forgot to ask, Greenland, you've also written about network states in Gaza, in Honduras, as in Prospera, which we now know, you know, Juan Orlando Hernandez, former president, convicted of sentenced to 25 years for drug trafficking, was pardoned because he was a Prospera proponent. And now network states folks are maybe looking at Venezuela. What is necessary on the ground for these network states to exist politically? What does this cohort need out of the political cohort in Honduras or Venezuela or, you know, Greenland?
First, they need compliance. What they really need is someone to say, okay, you can do this here, we accept it, because then they can attract investment. And that's on one layer, that's what this is about. How can we get billions of dollars into something that we're doing? Because a lot of venture capital right now has been stalling out because there's no more big unicorns like, you know, Uber and Airbnb. They're scrambling for ideas, which is why they're trying to make AI into this godlike final invention that will suck all of the profit out of everything on a continual basis. But that's kind of faltering a bit. So on one level, you have a real estate scheme. How can we get a piece of land somewhere and have people pump billions of dollars into this idea of a city? A lot of Silicon Valley functions on hype, stuff that's never going to happen. But if you can convince people to invest in it and you can cash out at the right time, you win. Doesn't matter what happens after that. You just win. So on one level, you can see it as a real estate scheme. And some people who don't want to think about the bigger, more conspiratorial plan for the world can at least understand that it's a real estate scam, which is why it's appealing to Trump. Trump's a real estate guy, right? He knows the value of land. So that's on one level. On the other level, what they need is to get sovereignty somehow, to get a government to grant them their own laws, regulations, rules, form of government, so that they can increase the investment and attract more people maybe to live there at some point. You got Prospero, which is this little settlement they built in Honduras. Nobody really lives there. It looks like it kind of sucks. It's dead. It's not a thriving city. It's more like a hotel and a golf course.
Sure. Which is like, you already have hotels and golf courses.
Totally. You know, there are entire industries that cater to helping wealthy people escape from the rest of us behind big gates.
Yes.
So that shows you the degree to which this is something beyond just a resort. It's this idea of sovereignty. And so I'd say the main point for folks who are interested in this is that everywhere you look with Trump's bizarre and aggressive foreign policy, you will see some kind of idea for a city to be built. In Gaza, they want to build some city, and it's backed by like Jared Kushner, and there were AI generated images of a Trump casino on the beach at Gaza, and Elon Musk being showered with dollar bills from the sky. So without saying the word network state, Trump prefers to call these freedom cities. They've incorporated this idea of using American government power and foreign policy to create these sovereign zones that are meant to be, if you understand the history of this stuff, these new sovereign areas where the tech billionaires plan to start building their future countries, which will become the superpowers of the 21st and 22nd century. So whenever you see a weird city idea pop up, and Trump is now also saying he's going to build 10 in the United States somewhere on federal land, that's what this is. It's this idea for future zones where the billionaires can wall the rest of us out, leave us to decline, suck away all of our resources, power, and revenue, and go along with it, go on to their monarchical, fanatical dreams of total tech dominance in the future.
Well, we will all be the wildlings on the other side of the wall. I just want to
pretty much
this.
Pretty much. That's the idea.
I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. I do want to, speaking of, you know, military might and imperialism, this press conference kind of went under the radar, which is wild because it was so dystopian and so terrifying. And that is Pete Hegseth announcing this partnership with XAI, which is Elon Musk's AI company that now it owns Grok and owns X, the Twitter platform. It's basically Elon has gone all in on AI. There's no more, you know, no more Mars, no more none of that. And I'm going to be releasing a video about Grok, but I wanted to play this and just get your reaction as tech increasingly goes all in on, you know, the military.
We're executing an AI acceleration strategy that will extend our lead in military AI established during President Trump's first term. This strategy will unleash experimentation, eliminate bureaucratic barriers, focus on investments, and demonstrate the execution approach needed to ensure we lead in military AI and that it grows more dominant into the future. So let's talk about the new rules. First, speed. Speed wins. Speed dominates. Our enterprise currently operates on staffing and committee cycles measured in months and years, and that's unacceptable. Military AI is going to be a race for the foreseeable future, where the risks to U.S. national security of moving too slowly outweigh the impacts of imperfect alignment.
Yes, don't move too slowly now. And this is also coming, you know, the deregulation of military tech, and you know, allowing people like those psychos like Palmer Luckey, who's got the Lord of the Rings based company Anduril to do whatever fucking new killer drones. And you know, this AI thing, and I'm gonna kick it to you, but it's just amazing that like we are told we're living in a dangerous era when the time we've seen AI play out in the military has been on the children of Gaza and the families who have been systematically genocided through AI algorithms that the IDF employs. I mean, it really is stunning that we're being told you need AI to be competitive in this space when you're just shooting and killing children.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's an example of what Dr. Olivier Joutel, who studies venture capital, calls exit through the state. Since they are not getting enough profits for their AI products from consumers, they have to get the military to buy into it, right? It's a way to get billions and billions of dollars into AI, into these coffers. And there are some applications for it, but the goal of having military contracts is that you get guaranteed revenue at scale with no market risk, right? And then you get access to all these data sets and information that makes your own product more powerful. So the other concern they have, or the obsession they have with the military, is that, you know, the two things government has main control over that make it powerful are monetary power to create and print money. That's what crypto's about, replacing that, and military power. So they do want to kind of take military might out of the hands of government and be the warlords who provide the technology and control the technology themselves. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that in terms of going into the military stuff, they're pretty new in some ways to defense tech, this particular group. Big companies like Raytheon and Boeing are way bigger than they are, been around a much longer time. And so part of what they're trying to do with all this AI panic is make it seem like, well, we have to now be in control of the $1 trillion Pentagon money spigot, because these slow old companies who have made America the most dominant military force in the world for the past 70 years just aren't good enough for the future. So part of it, again, is the hype. If you look at, like, I think Palantir had like $1 billion in revenue, and like a Raytheon or whatever has like 60 billion. So there are these little small challengers trying to find any device to use to now become to become those companies, to take that revenue. And I don't know if they'll succeed, but they're certainly trying to find a use case for AI anywhere they can, is what that's really about. This is mostly about money at this point. All that gobbledygook that Hegseth was speaking, that's pure Silicon Valley fascism. That's what accelerationism is, the idea that we must just go fast, fast, fast. You know, he's saying all these things about speed. Speed kills too, right? That's the sign on the highway. You don't want to go too fast when you're killing people, when you're making decisions that could disrupt the planetary order. That's Pete Hegseth sort of auditioning to become a venture capitalist after this, you know, Secretary of Defense crap doesn't work out for him. So that's
Secretary of War, please.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No, I think that's really important to remember. And it's interesting, you know, again, you know, Elon, who is very much behind on the AI thing, you know, it's like, yeah, this is like we shouldn't necessarily, and I appreciate that perspective, see it as like a success, but more as kind of a Hail Mary, like, I need this contract real bad. Apparently grok is going to be used by the military for their internal communications. And it's like, cool, bro. So you're communicating with each other through AI. Like, I don't know, like it seems a little superfluous, but he's getting the money and he's getting richer because of it. And I think it's important to know that XAI is not the only company. Google is deeply invested in, you know, military defense tech as well. And other tech companies are seeing, I mean, I think that this is a really important analysis to say, like, look, Silicon Valley has done great things, but now that it seems like there isn't the next big, as you called it, unicorn, they are just like, I don't know, fucking a defense contract? Sure.
Yeah. Exit through the state, right? They see that federal money spigot as the answer to all of their problems. And I think part of the thing is they plan to cash out and then just sort of, you know, in venture capital, you exit from a company once you've got enough investment, you can cash out, right? And then whatever happens to it, whatever. So they're viewing the United States as sort of a startup, you know, a 250-year-old startup, and they're going to exit. They're going to cash out of it. And whatever happens after they get theirs is fine. They're going to go start what they call the next America. And I think one of the major lessons of this time is that, you know, even before this Trump era, the federal government, through Democratic and Republican presidents, had been allowing Silicon Valley companies to take over duties that were once performed by universities, by the military industrial complex, by the government itself. There's a scholar at Stanford, Maricha Shaka, who wrote a book called The Tech Coup. And even before this all happened, the tech coup was that all these Silicon Valley companies are amassing major power behind the scenes over our military, our intelligence, etc. We need to claw back that power from private companies, because what we're seeing is that our economic system is at war with our system of government. Capitalism is trying to destroy democracy. And we can't have a system in which these handful of oligarchs believe they have the power to do that. So we really need to find ways to make sure no one ever gets these ideas in their head again, if we get through this period of time with most of our laws and government in order.
This is why billionaires should not exist, and we should tax them out of existence, break up their monopolies, and prevent them from, getting these government contracts. I did want to ask you more specifically, because if the United States is the tech startup that they will use to make money and then discard, how does crypto fit in? Because for me, my question is is the fact that they want, Trump wants to have Federal Reserve in crypto, that wants to peg our, dollar and our economy to a very unstable currency. It feels like the billionaires are trying to short the dollar, that they're trying to short America, that they will short us like they short a stock and then fucking get out with theirs.
That's pretty much the plan. That's the idea. If you listen to them, again, most of what I write, and that's why it's surprising to me that mainstream journalists haven't really covered it, is taken from what these guys say, from their own plans, from their own business plan. The dream is to have Bitcoin become the world's reserve currency, which would replace the dollar. And some people might like that, but people who believe in the United States of America being a dominant superpower of the world wouldn't like that. And so why would the government, if you're in the government, you're supposed to be pushing the United States' interests. Right. And they really do want to replace, they call it creating a parallel establishment, a parallel currency, a parallel military, parallel universities, parallel media, everything serving their interests. Now, they have some mixed success with that. The University of Austin, which was supposed to be this new university funded by Palantir billionaire Joe Lonsdale, was already collapsing because it turns out fascists can't even get along with each other. They founded this anti-cancel culture university, and they're all canceling each other because they're not hardcore right-wing enough. So that's
I just heard about this story from, shout out to Andy, who does our podcast editing, who's also written about Greenland as well and praxis. But this is such a wild story to me. Yeah, they're trying to create this whole parallel thing. And also you're like, okay, if you're actually going to do parallel shit, then stop leeching off federal money. You know what I mean? Go do parallel things, but now you still want to, get money from the government. Anyway, complete your thought. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Well, they can't do that. They have to try to, and that's part of where their incompetence comes into play. So they try to create a university. It's already flopped. Everyone's leaving. They fell apart. Apparently, only liberals can run universities. That's what we've learned. Only liberals are competent because they say all the academia is liberal, which is not true. But somehow liberals can run universities for hundreds of years, but these guys can't run one for 5. Second, Barry Weiss, who founded that university, fake University of Austin, has now been given control of CBS, even though she's nothing but a weak op-ed writer with no real journalism experience. And it's completely flopping, right? Because guess what? You can't really just walk into a big news operation with no experience and take over and do a good job of it. And so we do see that when they try to get their hands on power, they fail pretty quickly. It's not clear to me how they plan to run their own countries or run the world if they can't run a shitty little unaccredited university in Texas. So I know people are very scared and it feels like they're winning, but remember,
and especially without immigrant power. I'm sorry. The last thing I was like, especially you got to do all this without immigrants? Fucking have fun. Enjoy.
Yeah. Immigration, as Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush said many times when they were president, is our secret power. Anybody can come here and be an American. We'll never run out of people. And these white supremacist, eugenicist fascists are trying to destroy that without realizing, again, these are guys who didn't study humanities. They got lucky. They got $1 billion off of some investment, and now they think they're geniuses, but they don't understand the way it would all fall apart. And I think I'm gonna have to write a piece on that. The fact that they couldn't run a little, there are community colleges that are thriving, and these guys have billions of dollars and couldn't run a little private college. I went to a private college, been around 200 years. Maybe let the Methodists do it instead of the tech fascists. So anyway, they don't have it all figured out. They are not super powered. They are very weak, and I'd say they're mostly operating out of paranoia and fear right now. And I think the job of us and the job of Democrats, if they want to be relevant is to increase that fear and paranoia and make these guys back down and realize that Trump's reign will come to an end and there'll be accountability for all of the crimes that were committed during this time. There has to be. And, if we have a Gavin Newsom who gets elected and says, oh, we're just going to move forward and we're all going to go into the future, we're going to accelerate into a better future, then we just get to the same place eventually, but on a slower pace and with people feeling like things maybe are okay because, there's a handsome Democrat selling it instead of Trump.
Bullshit. No, I think this has been crystal clear. The last year has proven these are not our friends, and that by virtue of the fact that every single week we all discover some new billionaire or multimillionaire who's evil and behind the scenes, it's like, oh, it's not you, it's your money, you are a product of this late stage capitalist hellhole that unchecked, unfettered capitalism has created. And you're just trying to get more of it. Like, there is something about like, oh, no, it's just structural. It's not you, Peter, although maybe it is you, Peter, but like, it is much bigger than you. Gil Duran, your reporting is so critical, and I'm so glad you decided to pivot to cover this. And how can people find you and support you?
I'm at the nerdreich.com, and I'm at the Nerd Reich News on YouTube, and they're free to follow, no paywalls, and that's where you can keep up with my latest thoughts. I'm kind of busy writing a book right now, so the number one thing you could do would be to pre-order my book, The Nerd Reich: Silicon Valley, Fascism, and the War on Democracy, which will be out in August.
Are you suggesting we do this via Amazon, or where do we do this?
Bookshop would be preferred. And if you go to my newsletter, I provide the link there, which also gives me 10% for my newsletter. So it's a win-win. Support independent bookstores, give 10% to the newsletter. I'd say bookshop or at your local bookstore. Maybe have them order it. Like, we got to keep those things alive. The more we can support real life and analog things, the more we are hurting the dream of a fascist dystopian future. So.
Agreed. Oh my God. Thank you so much for taking the time and for this incredible interview. Appreciate you. Come back on anytime. And thank you all as well for being here. I'm going to read some super chats. I'm going to thank everyone with the fart song, and we're going to get out of here. Now the Zen says, everything that's happening in America is happening because billionaires want it to. Yeah. People who don't live in the real world. They are afraid of humans, the unwashed masses. They're afraid of the very products of the things that they've created, like poverty. Ooh. Yes. Thank you, Ulium, for the general strike this Friday. SHK 8647. Watching Newsom glaze Shapiro is just gross. This interview alone, Newsom has disqualified himself from receiving a single progressive vote. I agree. Rachel Atwood, what's up? Jake Lang sounds like David Spade at the end of PCU. I cannot verify, but I'm curious to find out what you're referring to. Ronan Pellin, stop paying your taxes until capitalism is abolished. I don't disagree, but of course it's always middle income and poor people who get audited the most because it's too expensive to audit the richies, even though they absolutely evade their taxes. Stoops the Cat, thanks for your super chat. Just dropping by to annoy the mods and tell the chat the DSA is... I see. You're going to talk shit about DSA. That's fine. I disagree with you. But, thank you for your super chat. Rachel Atwood reminding people to eat their beef tallow. The instructor says, when will the media start blaming HHS and RFK for the measles outbreak in South Carolina? When will he ever be held accountable? I mean, the media can blame him all they want, but like, when is the Republican controlled Congress going to actually fucking respond to a red state that's going through it, like South Carolina? I think this comment is really, really important. Anthony Aguilar, thank you for your super chat. Says we need only 3.5% of the population to affect change through united civic action. We can do this. And yes, just another pitch. An American Cardinal today said something about putting our bodies on the line. And I think he doesn't mean, he doesn't mean this in, like a violent insurrectionist way. I think he means that in the long history of religious and faith-led civil disobedience. And I think it's really important for all of us to start treating this as a moment where you have to find your people to plug in. What are the actions? I think protests are great. I am also feeling like there needs to be a lot more than just protests, and mass civil disobedience is wonderful. It's pretty easy. You get people with you. Just takes a little bit of planning. So I encourage everyone to plug in and to do things like that. And you know what? I'm not the smartest person. I've never claimed to be. There are multiple Hoovers in American politics and history. Yes, Herbert Hoover was the president, and J. Edgar Hoover worked at the FBI. And I knew that. I just didn't want to let you guys know that I knew that. You know what I'm saying? And yes, we honor Zane, and thank you to the mods, and so awful that happened. Thank you for the super chat. I shit you again says, I know it's early, but who are you going to vote for in 2028? Right now I'm thinking Kana or Bashir, maybe AOC or Jon Stewart, outside chance, just not Newsom. Look, I don't think it's going to be Kana as much as I like some of his politics. I think he's been leading on a lot of things. I also feel like he kind of lets stuff slide. I think he and Jasmine Crockett like accidentally voted to like defund UNRWA because they didn't read the text properly. You know, I think Roe, when it comes to being hard on billionaires because he represents Silicon Valley, is just not going to happen. And I think Gil Duran put it well, like it's difficult for California Democrats, to put themselves out there. I love Senator Chris Van Hollen. I think I could see even more fight from him. And you guys know how I feel about AOC. You know, I'm very, I'm into it. I'm into everything about her. Let's see. C-Lay Unit 2000 says, also AI isn't returning any real profits, not to mention it's doing much more harm than good. And yet, so much of our stock market is based on the overvaluation of AI. And so I think there's another thing here, which is the fear that if you don't inflate AI and you don't let them, you don't buddy with them, that this whole shit is going to come crashing down. And it's going to come crashing down one way or another. But the fact is that if so much of our stock market is actually maybe relying on AI and the AI bubble, now that Trump is destroying our economy through tariffs, it is worrisome. Okay, I just want to thank all the people who've become patrons. You guys, some of you might have seen my little takedown of Anna Kasparian recently. Thank you so much for watching that. And if you want to support me, patreon.com/bituationroom, or become a member here on YouTube, or become a paying member over on Substack if that is where you are watching or listening. And I thank everyone at that Franny stand here with the fart song. It goes something like this. Thank you, Prudence. Thank you, Keegan. Thank you, Hayden, for joining the Innermost Cabal. Hayden, I love you. You're wonderful, whoever you are. Thank you for joining. Thank you for upgrading Charles Massey's David S. David Strahan. That one's for you. Thank you over on Substack for becoming paid members. Angel, Cat Lady 53, Michael Henry, Kathleen Wilkinson, and Jean Farrow. And to the people over on Twitch, like Omega Shenron Dragon for resubscribing, Jager08 Larson for resubscribing, and Miriam Storms subscribing with Prime. I will take that. Remember, we are streaming Tuesdays, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, sometimes on Thursdays as well. Thanks to Paige Omek, to Andy Vasoyan, to Brent Godin. Follow the show on all the things. Bituation Pod, Bituation Room over on Instagram. Brent's been crushing it lately. And until next time, you guys, fight the power, fuck the patriarchy, free Palestine, and don't just bitch about it, be about it. Bye-bye.